How's it going, everybody? Coming to you today from the driveway because we're going to be doing an install from T-Rex Racing on my wife's Honda Monkey. What we've got today, we've got their rear rack, their rear box that mounts underneath the rack, and the GivI, however you say it, GivI, little top case. We're going to be installing on our Monkey, make it to where she can haul a little bit of goodies with her. She can have a safe place to store her helmet, whatever she wants to do. So we're going to get the install going for her and show you guys what it is and how to do it. So stick around. We're going to be installing the T-Rex Racing rear rack on a Honda Monkey. The first thing we're going to do is use the 3 supplied bolts to attach the lock box to the underside of the rack. You'll need a 10mm wrench or socket to do it, and that's going to be our first step. So here we go. You're going to need to use the supplied key, obviously, to open the lock so that the door will open. Once the door is open, it'll allow you access to where you can place your bolts inside here. Notice how this one's cut kind of like a keyhole. It's so you can put this back bolt hole, you can put the bolt in, set it on, slide it into place, and then install the 2 front ones without having to try to reach in there real far and try to start the bolt. So we're going to start with this rear one real quick. Just get it started. Okay, and then line up and start your front ones. Now, you see you don't have much room for a ratchet to work, but there's just barely enough, depending on how thick and how big your ratchet is. A 1/4 inch drive would probably work better than a 3/8, but a 3/8 is going to work a lot better than a 1/2 due to the size. See if I can tighten this one down some more by hand. Once you snug down your bolts, your little lock box is installed. You can close it, lock it, remove your key. There is your T-Rex Racing lock box attached to the T-Rex Racing rack. Next, we're going to be installing the rack. To do that, we have to remove the seat. I'll back the camera up and we'll get started on that. On the front of the seat on each side is an Allen head or an Allen key, a bolt that you have to remove to get the seat off. I believe it's a size, 6mm. And then you'll just remove the bolts, which it's removed, but it's hard to come out. Come on. There you go. So remove those on both sides. And the seat should come off now. Just like so. After you remove your seat, your next step is going to be to loosen up your shock bolts on the top of the tower. These are a 14mm. You'll do that on both sides. After you've loosened up both shocks, it's kind of hard to get them in the camera, but here and here are 2 bolt holes that are going to line up here and here on your rack. You're going to slide your rack on with the forks here going on the outside of the shock between the outside of the washers and the nut that holds them on. Sorry, I misspoke. The arms will go on the inside of the washers and the nut. And you'll notice when you do that, that these holes line up, and you will use the supplied nuts, bolts, and washers to attach here. It's a little tight getting in here, but just take your time and find what angle works best for you. It's not impossible, it's a little tight. Your next step, tighten these up after you've got them installed. When you first install them, it's going to be kind of hanging down. You might be able to tighten up these shock tower bolts a little bit to keep it from dropping so much. And then you'll need your 6mm key and a 1/2 inch, and then you'll tighten these up. Once those are tightened up, go ahead and take your 14mm and tighten up your shock bolts the rest of the way. Our last step for the rack is to reinstall the seat. And if you notice the front of the seat here, how it has these stays that come down, that's what I had our bag attached to. So you won't necessarily have to do this unless you have a bag attached to these, but I've kind of got to put those in and then slide the seat into place. You normally wouldn't have to do that, so you would just put your seat down, slide it in, and tighten it up. I'm going to try to install it with my bag on there with these, but you don't have to worry about that. So if you see me fighting it, that's why. It ended up going on pretty easily, even with my bag, so that's pretty much it. I got to put the other bolt in on this side, and this part of the install will be done. That will be how you install your T-Rex Racing rack. And there you go. It's all done. I'll show you what it looks like with the rack installed now. So that is the install for the T-Rex Racing rear rack on the Monkey. Now we're going to install the GivI. We're going to install the rear case. When you open up your case, you'll remove the mounting plate and you'll remove the mounting plate cover. This little cover covers up the holes that you will then line up with the holes that are drilled and have nuts welded on the rack. So it'll just be a matter of lining those up, using the included hardware to tighten it down, and this will be a very straightforward, very easy install. Okay, so here are the 4 holes I was talking about that are already pre-drilled and made into the rack. If you see this, you just line up where you think center is, and it's pretty easy to eyeball center, because to line up to the next hole, it's going to be way one way or way the other, or too far this way or too far that way. So you'll just kind of center it, and like I said, it'll be pretty easy to center on which ones. And I think that right there is where I want it. Okay, so once you find where you want it, you find your center, which there's really only one center on this thing, but line them up, and then you'll take the included hardware and one of the square washers looks like this. You'll drop the square washer in, and I almost forgot, go ahead and throw the spare washer on. And you'll do that for each one of the 4 holes. After you've got all 4 of them started, you'll take your Allen key, which is a 5mm, and you'll use the 5mm and tighten it up. I'm going to use a cross pattern just because almost everything I do, I always try to do a little on each side, or a cross pattern if possible. You could probably be fine just tightening whichever way. You'll take your cover, pop it into place, and there you go. That's your install. Now we're just going to throw the box on the bike and be done. On the back of the box, there's 2 little keys that will fit in here. You'll push it down, the front of the box will lock onto your tab. Here are the 2 locking tabs that will slide in, and then you should be able to just push until it clicks. As you hear the click, after you push it down until it clicks, it is now installed, it is locked in, and you can see you cannot push the button to release it till you use one of your keys. That'll fly up out of the way. Push your button here. There you go. And now you can remove and take your case with you. You have a handy little carry handle right there. And then once you get back to your bike, here you go. Clicked in. And you're relocked. All right, let's have a look at what this looks like, because this install is totally done. That was everything. That was the T-Rex Racing rack, the case, boom, all done. Let's go see what it looks like in the wild. So there you have it, folks. That is the T-Rex Racing rear rack and case install. You can purchase this whole kit from T-Rex Racing. At the time of this recording, it's about $275. That includes the little lock box, the rack itself, and the big carry case. They do offer one that has a larger case. I believe it's a 32 liter instead of 26, but I went with the 26, make it a little bit easier. Now, one thing I will point out is on the rack, it has a 10-pound weight limit. So even though you've got plenty of room here, you do want to watch how much weight you put in it, so don't overload it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.